Every 4 years, Bitcoin breaks out and goes into a new all-time high, and many of our altcoins set up for our biggest gains that we're going to experience over our entire bull run. We are now moments away from making a new all-time high for Bitcoin, and I have a lot of confidence that many altcoins are going to be making their biggest breakouts over the next few months. I'm going to be sharing with you guys the 4-year cycles of Bitcoin, breaking down exactly where I think Bitcoin's at in this cycle and how much further it's going to be going before we top, and I'm going to be sharing with you guys some of my favorite altcoin indexes as well that are pointing towards us having a massive altcoin season happening very soon. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you find any value in this video, please do me a favor, hit that like, comment, and subscribe button. And without further ado, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, here we are taking a look at Bitcoin, and it is super important that you guys pay attention throughout this video because I'm going to be explaining exactly what is to be expected over the next few months, why this year is going to be so powerful for crypto, and what many of our altcoin charts are going to be looking like over this next calendar year. Keep in mind, we're at the very end of 2024, about to enter 2025. This is an election year where both candidates are actually positive for crypto, and I do believe it's going to produce our biggest bull run that we've ever seen in crypto history. With that being said, we have to do our part by being positioned and prepared before this upside sets in, because if you're somebody that's late, you're simply going to be chasing prices and you're going to be missing out on a lot of the gains to be made just by being ready and positioned early. When we're looking at the price of Bitcoin, one of my favorite things I like to look at are just simply analyzing the cycle top of our last bull market and looking at the distance in between that it's taken before a new all-time high, because this is going to give you guys a little bit of an idea as far as how long prior cycles have taken to play out. And when we take our time tool and we look at the all-time high from 2021 and we go all the way over to where we're at today, we're currently sitting at 1,086 days from the prior all-time high to the point of us getting ready to make a new one. Yes, technically our new all-time high was made here, and we made a number of different attempts actually outside of the prior all-time high of the last cycle. But the thing I want you guys to be aware of is the fact that Bitcoin in this cycle is vastly different. This wasn't a massive new all-time high. It was just a small temporary peak above, and we've actually closed every single one of these attempts at a breakout below this downtrending resistance. So when we're looking at our price, Bitcoin has been technically consolidating below resistance throughout the last 6 to 8 months, and we haven't made a true breakout quite yet. Yes, we've made new all-time highs, a number of new all-time highs if you're counting, these little peaks above the last cycle. But when we're talking about a real breakout into price discovery, these aren't it. And that's what I'm anticipating is coming soon. The next breakout coming for Bitcoin will be our first breakout where we're getting outside of our downtrending resistance. We're also getting outside of our horizontal resistance of our prior all-time highs of that last cycle. And I do believe that that's going to act as a major shifting point before Bitcoin rallies all the way upwards of $100,000. Bitcoin's probably going to go to $100,000. It could go even a little bit higher than that, but I'm anticipating something like that before we see some type of a pullback. And then we kind of continue on in this trend. That's what I'm anticipating throughout the rest of this year. Bitcoin to maintain higher highs and higher lows and really start to go parabolic in similar ways that we've expected to see. This cycle isn't any different. Looking at the time frames of 1,086 days here, and we're knowing that we're moments away from finally getting that breakout of downtrending resistance, it's important that we're looking at our prior cycles to give us a little bit of an idea as far as where we're at. Is this very different from the prior cycles, or is it actually a lot of the same similarities, although the price action may differ? And that's the thing I always tell you guys. The price action is bound to be different, but that's why I always trade the 4-year cycles, is because the time frames always stay the same. Remember guys, it was 1,086 days that we're currently sitting at, Bitcoin about to make a new all-time high. If we're looking at, the cycle in our last bull market, it was about 1,095 days from Bitcoin's all-time high of 2017 to the point of us making a new one. So 1,095 days and 1,086 days, and we're still not quite out of that breakout. chances are this is going to end up following the exact same time frames as the last cycle did. So when I'm looking at this, we're really not any different than any of the prior cycles. Time frames are the same. The price action is obviously different. You know, the PA from our last cycle, Bitcoin, consolidated here and had this long kind of choppy consolidation. Whereas Bitcoin in this cycle, it's been pretty consistent higher highs and higher lows. The only difference is we rallied much quicker to an all-time high, and then we've really just sat here throughout the last 6 to 8 months consolidating below that. We've never really seen this type of price action. We've never seen Bitcoin already at a new all-time high and getting ready for price discovery quite so early into a cycle. However, the difference is, I would argue it was early when Bitcoin first made its new all-time high over here in March, because that was 852 days from our prior all-time high. Much quicker than any of the prior cycles. However, the fact that we sat here and consolidated below resistance, lower lows and lower highs, all the way to where we're at today, put us on the exact same time frames of those prior cycles. So when I'm looking at this, yes, we made a new all-time high quicker, but we sat here and went sideways for the last 8 months or so, and it put us right back onto the same trajectory as all of our normal 4-year cycles. Now, I wanted to actually go back and look at some of my favorite altcoin charts over our cycles, because I really do believe that this is going to tell us the most ideal scenario for what to expect moving forward. When we're looking at Bitcoin, moments away from making that first true breakout into new all-time highs, I do believe that we're looking at a lot of the same similarities in some of our major indexes throughout crypto. Dogecoin is the best index we have for altcoins because it's probably the best altcoin that we really have out there as far as something that is just a speculative investment. It's not an Ethereum, it's not a Solana that actually has any sort of major use case. It's nothing but a meme coin, and that's kind of the way that Dogecoin consolidates, is it really only breaks out when Bitcoin makes its major move into price discovery. When we're looking at Dogecoin has had this long consolidation all the way down here. We made this first little higher high right here, and we've broken from that short-term downtrending resistance, and it's looking like we're about to be reversing in here. When we're looking at Bitcoin sitting at this new all-time high, moments away from actually going into price discovery, it's always before Dogecoin makes the beginning of its first cycle. And what I'm talking about by that is if we go all the way back to even our last cycle for Bitcoin, you'll see that it was the same way. Bitcoin made a new all-time high right over in here, and we can see that the second that Bitcoin started to run to new all-time highs in this move, that was right here for Dogecoin. So Dogecoin was at the very bottom of its consolidation in its bear market as Bitcoin started going into a new all-time high. Now, when Bitcoin actually made it into price discovery, going from 19,000 to 42,000, Dogecoin went from, less than half a cent all the way up to about 1.5 cents, all in one big move. So it rallied all the way back up to near its prior all-time high, not quite. But then it was once Bitcoin kind of peaked at 42K, pulled back and started that next higher high, that Dogecoin really started to rocket into price discovery. Now, obviously, we had Elon Musk shilling it the whole time, but Elon Musk has already quietly shilled Dogecoin just over the last few weeks. So I'm not anticipating that anything's that different. We're going to see a lot of the same shills. The thing I want you guys to pay attention for is how the cycles have played out. When we're looking at Dogecoin, Dogecoin makes its new all-time high breakout when Bitcoin does. So when we're looking at Dogecoin in the last cycle, Bitcoin started to make that new all-time high move right over in here, and we can see that Dogecoin perfectly followed it. And it was once Bitcoin got into price discovery that Dogecoin massively outperformed it, along with the rest of the altcoins out there. So when we're looking at Dogecoin today, and we're looking at Bitcoin today, Bitcoin's sitting at this all-time high, moments away from entering price discovery, and Dogecoin is roughly at the exact same moment of time that it was in its last cycle before it also went into price discovery. This is the best altcoin indicator that we really have, and it's always going to be following, and it's always going to follow Bitcoin because Dogecoin's one of the oldest, it's the most memeable, and because of that, already having that kind of head start, first mover's advantage, and with Elon shilling it actively, I really do think that this is going to continue to be kind of that staple altcoin that we can watch for knowing when to take profits, for knowing when rotations are going to take place, because this is the moment for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is now moments away from making that first major breakout. Looking at prior cycles, Dogecoin always follows the same turn of events, even into the cycle going all the way into 2017. It was all the same type of event where Bitcoin goes into a new all-time high over in here, and the exact moment Bitcoin goes into a new all-time high, Dogecoin does the exact same thing. The difference is Dogecoin does it at a much bigger ROI, so it's going to outperform Bitcoin the entire way back up. So when I'm looking at Bitcoin today, moments away from that new all-time high breakout, and I'm seeing Dogecoin pretty much following the same patterns it always has, it gives me nothing but confidence to continue to hold this position into price discovery because it's going to follow the same turn of events. If Dogecoin is looking like it's ready to reverse and Bitcoin's sitting at all-time highs, this is a signal to the rest of the altcoins out there that we're going to be experiencing markup in that degree. Altcoins always lag. They're always lagging Bitcoin until it goes into price discovery. But now that Bitcoin is pretty much right there, all we really have to wait for is Bitcoin to clear this downtrending resistance, which we're just right here flush with. Once Bitcoin clears this downtrending resistance, I believe it's going to rally upwards of $100,000 to $110,000. And tokens like Dogecoin, are staples in the market. They're going to be making these next big breakouts and rallying all the way back up to their prior all-time highs of their last cycle, in the same ways that they did in the last bull market as well. Bitcoin started making that rally all the way into price discovery. As Bitcoin went into price discovery, Dogecoin rallied back up near those prior range highs and all-time high levels. And it was once Bitcoin really entered price discovery fully, had already had its pullback into price discovery, that we saw Dogecoin rip into a massive new all-time high. Many altcoins are going to do the same thing because it doesn't really matter whether you're looking at Dogecoin, whether you're looking at some altcoin like a Solana that has good fundamentals. The ones with good fundamentals will usually outperform. There's always outliers with certain meme coins and things like that. But when we're looking at the staple meme coin, the oldest one, the one worth the most, it only ever moves when Bitcoin goes into a new all-time high. And with it now starting to look like it's reversing right here, I think that now is the point where we're about to be getting that major breakout that we've all been more or less waiting for the last 6 months. This is going to be where we make the most amount of our profit in our portfolio. Altcoins are going to run the hardest. However, the two scenarios that I'm watching for is Bitcoin going to actually outperform to 100K and then altcoins will lag similar to what they did in the last cycle? Or will it be like 2017 where Bitcoin goes into a new all-time high and the altcoins pretty much just follow right on spot? I don't know for sure. We've had two different cycles, the first cycle and then our last bull market in 2021. Both of these played out a little bit differently where, altcoins lagged a lot in the last cycle, whereas altcoins pretty much instantly outperformed Bitcoin once it went to a new all-time high. So we have two scenarios to watch. I couldn't tell you which one is more likely because I really don't know. All that I think you guys need to be aware of is understanding that the shift is here. Dogecoin now looking ready to reverse is the shift we've been waiting for. And now with Bitcoin ready to make that new all-time high, the second that this does, we want to have our positions ready to go packed beforehand, because once all this new all-time high sets in, you don't want to be somebody sitting there trying to second guess yourself, trying to figure out, whether you did something right or wrong. The best thing is just to have your position ready to go and look to capitalize throughout 2025, because 2025 is set to be a very profitable year. Now to finish this up, I wanted to take the time to actually go over Bitcoin's 4-year cycle just a bit and kind of give us an idea of what to expect moving forward from here. Because remember guys, when we're looking at these 4-year cycles, we're analyzing from peak low of every bear market, and the distance in between is our 4-year cycle. So 450 days is 4 years. This one was only a month off, and then this one was only a month off. So our last 10 years of Bitcoin cycles have followed the exact same turn of events, where we have a 1,450 day long cycle between cycle low to cycle low. That's what this is indicated by. And then if you go from the peak low of the bear market to the peak high of the cycle top, it equals 1,064 days, which is exactly 3 years in duration. And that's what every single one of these cycles has done. Bear markets are 1 year long, bull markets are 3 years long, and that's just been the way that we've seen every single one of these bull markets playing out up to this point. So when we're looking at this current cycle, we haven't done anything different. We bottomed 4 years from the last 4-year cycle bottom. We're currently sitting at just under 1,100 days from our prior all-time high, which is right on path with all of our prior cycles for when we've made a new all-time high for the first time. So we're really not any different. The only thing we're going to be looking at here is, since we got our new 4-year cycle low at the bottom of our 22 bear market, we draw a line, we go 1,450 days over. And that's going to give us, let's do 1,428, since that's exactly what the last two cycles were. But that's going to be showing our cycle bottom of our next bear market. It's going to be the end of 2026. So we're basically halfway, a little over halfway done with this bull market. Based off the last cycles, the bull markets were 1,064 days. So if we're looking at that same time frame, you're basically looking October of 2025, the very ending of this coming year. Bitcoin's going to rally, it's going to make these pullbacks, but we're going to be watching for Bitcoin to ultimately peak sometime at the end of 2025, and then start that next 1 year bear market back down, leading into a cycle bottom at the end of 2026. That's the way our 4-year cycle is projected to be. The fun part of our cycle is pretty much now, because remember guys, we always go through the long, slow, choppy, drawn out stuff as we're below those prior all-time highs, right? As we're below every single one of these all-time highs, that's where the slow part happens. However, when price discovery takes place, everything pretty much just goes vertical, and that's been every single one of these cycles. Even when we peaked at 65K and 69K, even though it was this weird double top type price action, that was still vertical type of price action. And I do anticipate it's going to be a lot of the same when we're looking at the price action today for Bitcoin. Looking at all of our major charts, Dogecoin is breaking out. Many meme coins have already started breaking out. AI has been running to begin this cycle as is. But I really do think that this is the fun part of the cycle that we've really been waiting for. 2025 is going to be a very profitable year for anybody that's positioned and ready to go. And I think that now is kind of the last opportunity that we have to get positioned, figure out where we're trying to diversify our capital. Because once this next breakout happens for Bitcoin, it's going to start happening so quick that we really just don't have time. And it's going to be harder to predict certain things that happen, which is why the best thing we can do is have our positions ready to go right now. Because when Bitcoin breaks out, everything will just make sense and our portfolios will be able to just consistently grow from there. But guys, this is the video I had for you. I wanted to break down what the charts are looking like, what the cycles are looking like, how Dogecoin is playing into all of this. We're really moments away from making that new cycle. We're pretty much following all of the exact same similarities that our last bull markets have. Nothing is really any different. So I wanted to make you guys get that breakdown. So I wanted to give you guys that breakdown so that you guys know exactly what to expect moving forward. If you find any value in this video, please do me a favor. Hit that like, comment, and subscribe button. If you want to check out anything I'm doing with my portfolio, what altcoins we're buying, selling, trading right now in this cycle bottom, links are in the description and go ahead and check it out. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And with that being said, I will catch you guys in the next one. As always, peace out.